Hi and welcome to episode 15 of BRANCHLINE, this beginner's model railway journey. I thought I'd stand up for this one because I wanted to show you what I've been up to now, and which is making a backscene, or actually, fitting a backscene. I've been a professional photographer for about 40 years and then some, so I know a bit about photography and I know a bit about resolution and all those things that go into making a photograph look great, so I can talk a little bit about that. But I didn't make this backscene myself. I thought I'd just take the easy route, and I've been using the Gaugemaster. This is the GM701 Valley Large Photographic Backscene. Comes in 3 sections, roughly about a metre each, 3 foot each, by a foot high, I think. I'll tell you that later. Yeah, it's 12 inches by 108 inches in total. So I've got 9 foot on this layout. My layout's 8 foot long, and so I've got about 6 inches on either side. I didn't bother going around the sides with it really, and my plan is to just use it for photographing the models, which is something I want to get into and include on my Skellig photography YouTube channel. As I said, I took kind of the easy route, and I'll show you what I did, how I put it together. It's not perfect. There are some pieces that don't quite match this. If you look at the exposure on this one, it's slightly brighter than this one, so it's not a perfect match. But it was cost effective, and I did actually make a bit of a mess of one of them. And so I've had to buy this twice, to be honest, to get a replacement section. So, for now it looks great, and where the join isn't perfect, I can fix that in the photograph, certainly in Photoshop quite easily. I'll talk you through how I did it and then come back at the end. The most typical base for the backscene might be plywood, but this is foam board, which is A3 size taped together. It's 5mm thick, very light, and very economical as well compared to plywood. I taped together 3 A3 boards for one 1 meter length of backscene, and then laid out the backscene, weighted down at each end to make sure that it was straight on the boards. For my first attempt at gluing down the backscene to the board, I used PVA glue. I brushed it on in roughly 10 centimeter sections, and then pushed down the backscene with a cloth to flatten it. Whether the paste was too thick or the paper was too thin, or there was a problem between the board and the paper, I really don't know, but it left huge clumps and bubbles in the photo. So I had to resort to plan B, which was using double-sided sticky tape on the foam board, and this proved altogether more satisfactory. The backscene paper laid very flat with no bubbles or creases at all. Because the foam board sheets are very light, it wasn't perhaps as difficult as it might have been with plywood to line them up and nail them in on my own. I'd left a slight overlap on the edge of one of the backscenes and glued this down onto the next one to make sure that the overlap was as flat as possible. The join on the backscene is visible when live viewing or filming the baseboard, but This can be disguised with a scene break and of course removed in Photoshop for photographs. So I hope that was helpful for those of you who are thinking about putting back scenes together. One thing I do know about photography is resolution, digital resolution. Of course, I started in dark old days when digital cameras hadn't been invented. And but if you blow a digital image up beyond its native resolution, you go too far for the pixels really that are in the file, then you get pixelation or chromatic aberration, color spots, and some of those are visible here. Also, this back scene isn't absolutely sharp. Now, in terms of the color aberration or the noise, if you like, in the image, there's nothing much you can do about that. Just maybe keep it out of focus as much as possible. In terms of the image itself being slightly flat, or slightly soft I should say, slightly out of focus, that's actually a good thing, because you don't really want your back scene to be too sharp, because it just won't look natural. It won't look like there's any perspective, any distance between the model and the scenery. So it's a good thing in my view that it's slightly soft, although it isn't very soft. And as I said, some of these lines here can be fixed in Photoshop. I'm quite happy with it. There's a bit at the end that needs to be sorted, because as I said, I tore one of the actual back scenes when I was laying it down on the board, and so that needs to be replaced because the join isn't quite right. The hills are higher than they should be where they meet the other back scene. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you're so inclined, and I'll see you next time.